Welcome to Geek on Film with your host, Robbie Holmes. Welcome to episode 8 of Geek on Film. I'm Robbie, and I'm excited to jump into this week's television and movies with a main review of Mickey 17. So we'll start off with The White Lotus Season 3. So far, I'm 4 episodes in. I'm current as to when this is being recorded. And I just wanted to shout out the truly amazing cast that we see here. I'm finding this season to be a little bit slow, but I think that is sort of how it feels for every season. I think we have a lot of people here to do some table setting for, but I've heard other critics complain about the pace of this season. I'm enjoying it, but I also think we're primed now for the table is set and for everything to sort of take off. Let's talk about the individual sets of folks. I think the Radcliffes are unbelievable. You've got, probably one of my favorite actresses of all time, Parker Posey, playing the mom. You've got Patrick Schwarzenegger playing one of the sons. You've got, let's see, who else is in this crew? Oh, you've got Jason Isaacs playing the dad, Timothy. You've got Sam Nivola playing Lachlan, one of the sons. And we can shout out the last of our amazing crew, and that would be, where is she? Piper, Sarah Catherine Hook. Their family dynamic is really fun. Having one obnoxious son, one supportive and caring son, one daughter who is trying to find herself, and parents who are completely lost. One in their own business world and one in their own private sort of cocoon of pharmaceuticals. It's really fun, a fun dynamic, and they're creating a fun environment to butt other people up against in this world. That's what I love about White Lotus. And then you have the ladies crew of Leslie Bibb playing Kate Bonner, Carrie Coon playing Lori Duffy, and then Michelle Monaghan playing an actress who is on a getaway, Jocelyn Lemon. Really fun trio there. We have nothing but great actresses all playing sort of catty folks who are friends for a long time, who drive each other crazy. It's a really fun dynamic. Again, great people to butt up against other people in this world. Then there are the people who are playing some of the folks who work at this facility. So you have Leslie Manable playing Mook, and you have Tame Tiptham Thong playing Gatak. Their dynamic is really fun. He's trying to convince her that he's serious. She is wanting him to be more strong and assertive as a person. Their interactions are great, but seeing them interact with the rest of the cast here is really fun. And the last duo I'll call out, there's some other fun people here, but we end up with Walton Goggins playing Rich Hackett and Amy Lou Wood playing Chelsea. I can't not laugh at Walton Goggins. I find everything he does to be really fun and deep and emotional. He's super vulnerable in this role, and I'm really excited to see where this goes. But for me, Amy Lou Wood is like sort of stealing scenes away from Goggins, which is impressive. She's really charming, and her effervescent and sort of wide-eyed sentiment about how she feels about him is very sweet. I'm enjoying The White Lotus. Just a quick rundown of the cast and who's in this season. And if you're not watching it, you might want to think about it. I'll jump over to my first film. I finally saw Luca Guadagnino's Queer. So written it's based on a William S. Burroughs novel, and Justin Kurtzkis is sort of adapting. And then it's directed by Luca Guadagnino. This film is set in the 1950s in Mexico City. An American immigrant in his late 40s leads a solitary life amidst a small American community. However, the arrival of a young student stirs the man into finally establishing a meaningful connection with someone. We have the main character here being played by Daniel Craig, and then Dane DeWitt playing Carl Steinberg. We have Jason Schwartzman playing Joe Gildry. Winston Moore is played by Henrik Zaga. Such an amazing little film, in my opinion. It's this sub-community inside of Mexico City and we focus in on sort of a smaller sub community. So we have mostly American expatriates, and then there's this smaller community of gay men in this area and their experiences. It's really well done. I absolutely loved the first three quarters of this film. There's a little bit that happens near the end that is a little experimental. It's a little showing us the experience of a psychedelic experience that I didn't vibe with, but I felt like everything that was being shown, the vulnerability, the impetuous nature of William Lee, Daniel Craig's character, Joe Goodry, played by Jason Schwartzman, as his friend, constantly sort of being taken advantage of and being hit. You know, he's a character that I wanted to spend more time with. I actually wish we had spent more time at the bars than we did in the bedrooms. But the bedroom scenes are really intimate and really powerful, and I'm really impressed by what is pulled off by Luca Guadagnino in this film. My review over at Letterboxd is 3.5 stars. Daniel Craig should have been nominated. Also, the music coordinator should have been shouted out. The music and his performance, and then the production design, you really feel like you've dropped cameras into 1950s Mexico City. It's really beautiful. If you haven't gotten a chance to see it, you should check it out. I watched it on Mubi, where it's available. Next, I'll talk about a film I don't really want to talk about, but I watched it this week, so we should probably be realistic. Queen of the Ring. Over at IMDb, we have the synopsis as in a time when pro wrestling for women was illegal all over the United States, a small town single mom embraces the danger as she dominates America's most masculine sport and becomes the first $1 million female athlete in history. I hate to say this. I gave this a 1 star. My review over at Letterboxd was, this movie should have been right up my alley. And in the end, it felt like an after school special meets a Hallmark movie that ran at the time of the soap operas. It's really not good. The script and the directing don't really support the actors. I'm a huge wrestling fan, and I think Emily Bett Rickards was great in Arrow. There's a few wrestling stars in here for good measure. Tony Storm is great in the 5 minutes of screen time she has. This is a movie that I feel like did a disservice to this story. I don't think we're going to get to tell this story very often. It's a very unique story about this time in wrestling history, around a character like Mildred Burke. It's very frustrating to me as a huge wrestling fan. It's written by Ash of Avildsen, Jeff Lean, and Alston Ramsey, and it was directed by Ash Avildsen. The characters here are played by Emily Bett Rickards as Mildred Burke, Josh Lucas as Billy the Wolf, Tyler Posey as G-Bill, his son, Walton Goggins as Jack Purfer, Francisca Eastwood as May Wood, Maria Agripolipos as Elvira Snodgrass, Kaylee Farmer as June Byers, Carla Bruno as Bertha, and then her son, Mildred's son, is played by Joe Castellano. Joe Jr. is his character. We have a couple of other folks that drop in. Deborah Ann Wool as Gladys Gillum, Kelly Birkland as Nell Stewart. It's a really amazing cast. You got Damaris Lewis playing Babs Wingo. Even Jim Cornette drops in as the NWA commissioner. There's a lot of people in this movie. This is a story that I really couldn't have been more excited to see, and I feel like I was just let down by the script and the directing. It's currently in theaters. I saw it on opening day. I was really excited to see this movie, and I'm sorry that I have to give it a review that I didn't really like. But interestingly, for the final film I'm going to talk about today, I finally saw Blink twice, which is interesting because I was able to see and get exposed to Naomi Ackie before I went and saw Mickey 17. So let's talk about Blink twice. When tech billionaire Slater King meets cocktail waitress Frida at his fundraising gala, he invites her to join him and his friends in a dream vacation on his private island. As strange things start to happen, Frida questions her reality. My review over on Letterboxd is lots of dynamic camera movement, so many charismatic and beautiful people in this film. Overall, I think there are lots of fun moments, but the script is better than I expected. The direction, cinematography, and production design are all pretty good. I think let's go down real quick. This was written by E.T. Fengbaum and Zoe Kravitz and directed by Zoe Kravitz. It stars Naomi Ackie as Frida, Channing Tatum as Slater, Alia Shawkat as Jess, Christian Slater as Vic, Simon Rex as Cody, Adria Arjona as Sarah, Joel Osment as Tom, Liz Carabel Sierra as Camila, Levon Hawke as Lucas, Trey Mullen as Heather, Gina Davis as Stacy, Kyle MacLachlan as Rich, his therapist. Chris Costa plays Stan, basically his bodyguard, and really, it's a fun cast. I think the movie is darker than I expected. I know it's sort of. I think its original title for this movie was called Pussy Island, is what I think it was based on. And that's what its title was going to be. I think it's really good to see what Zoe Kravitz can do behind the camera. This movie, she benefits from her partner being one of the most photogenic people on planet Earth and charismatic, and he probably would watch Channing Tatum do anything. And then Naomi Ackie has this like extremely expressive face and these big beautiful eyes, but she's unforgettable. And then the rest of the cast is really just filling out this who's who of like, would you like to go hang out on an island for a couple of days and shoot a film? It's really impressive, and everybody there is fun. Everybody's playing these characters to the nines. They're all caricatures of people. I think Simon Rex as Cody, where he is constantly obsessed with the food that they're making, is really funny. Haley Joel Osment as sort of playing sort of an uptight jerk who eventually we see in some flashbacks some of the aspects of how he gets picked on and made fun of. I think I don't want to really spoil the premise. I think this movie was good. I think if you haven't seen it yet, you should, and you should see it basically to see what Zoe's up to as a director, but also Naomi Ackie and Channing Tatum are sort of a great duo. They have great chemistry, and he just is. You can't take your eyes off of him. Yeah, it's a super fun film. I don't know that I would say it was great. I would say it was good. 3.5 stars is right about where I rocked it. So, gonna jump over to Mickey 17. So, this is our final review for today. Bong Joon-ho and Edward Ashton wrote this film. It was directed by director Bong. Mickey 17, according to our friends at IMDb, is known as an expendable. He goes on a dangerous journey to colonize an ice planet. My review of this was 3.5 stars. I love director Bong's work, and his ability to make films like Parasite and Mickey 17 back to back proves that he is one of our most unique auteurs in the industry. Mark Ruffalo and Toni Collette, as the failed leadership class in this film, are so over the top and chaotic. Robert Pattinson is great as Mickey Barnes, a sad sack expendable, and Naomi Ackie is the only person that cares for him. I really like this film. I've heard some reviews of it that feel all over the place. So Robert Pattinson is playing Mickey Barnes, Stephen Yeun is playing Timu, Michael Monroe is playing Matthew, Patsy Ferrin is playing Dorothy, one of the doctors, Cameron Britton is playing Ackerley, one of the head doctors that is overseeing the stuff with Mickey. Who else do we need to shout out here? We should shout out Mark Ruffalo as Kenneth Marshall. We should shout out his wife, as played by Toni Collette. She's unbelievable and steals so many of the scenes that she's in. I really liked this film. I think what we end up with is sort of this, it's almost like an allegory or a fable of the future that we could be living in. Mickey Barnes and his friend are trying to get off planet because they're being hunted by some loan sharks, and they decide they're going to get away and get off planet. Mickey has no real skills to offer, so he offers himself up to the expendable program. And in this world, cloning is possible, and they've proven that cloning can cause problems. this idea of multiples, where more than one of the same person exists. And there's some religious fervor about this, that there is only one soul. So they decide to ban and outlaw cloning on Earth. And they decide that each one of the ships that's going to colonize another planet can have one expendable. So Mickey is that expendable on this ship, and this ship is led by the marshals. We see Kenneth Marshall has been a senator in the past and has failed two re-elections. Toni Collette is his wife as Jaffa. They're just completely over the top. They are 100% the let them eat cake class of this world. Stephen Young is playing Timu, who's sort of a slippery man who always finds a way to succeed. On the ship, he eventually becomes a drug dealer, which is not outside of his at all outside of his personality. I think what we get here is sort of a lot of large characters, a lot of large ideas being bounced around. And I think eventually we get to the planet where they're landing, where they're trying to recolonize. And you almost end up at this situation with the creatures as a stand-in for anything that is considered the other in this society. I think it's pretty broad strokes. I think what director Bong is able to pull off is great. I think people have to acknowledge that there seems to be two swim lanes that director Bong works in. One is his sort of American audience films, like Okja and Snowpiercer, and then there are his South Korean oriented films like Parasite and Mother and The Host. Yeah, The Host has a little bit to do with this movie, but it seems like there's a sensibility shift that he goes through when he's making these films. So this movie, as a follow-up to a Best Picture and with some studio involvement and interference, is not the film that I think some people expected post-Parasite. And I really enjoyed it. I think not everything needs to be what he was able to create in Parasite. I think this is a adaptation of a book, and he is taking the ideas of this book and he's added some politics to it, and politics plus religion into this world. The marshals are sort of followed everywhere by a priest who is reminding him of how much this is the right thing to do based on their religion, and how he will be conceived and seen of as a great man throughout time. I really liked it. I think you should watch this film. The trailer gives away that at some point we do see two Mickeys, and that's a really fun aspect of this movie. Robert Pattinson's great. Naomi Aki's great. I think people are judging this movie harshly because it is not, quote unquote, as serious as Parasite. And I think it's just a different type of Bong Joon-ho film. I really enjoyed it. I think you should check it out. It's currently in theaters. Please go see it. Cost a bunch of money to make. I'd love to see it make some of its money back. I'm tired of the argument that we should not waste companies' money that are making these films. I want directors like director Bong to get all the money he needs to make all the films he wants to make. And it's up to us to at least make it worthwhile for them to back these films. So I already have. I would suggest you go see it in the theater if you're at all interested in it. It is big, it's beautiful, and you can see the money on the screen. So that's it for me for this week. I expect you'll hear from me again pretty quickly. I have 2 films already queued up this week that I'm going to see, and a bunch of other films that I've seen at home. So for episode 8, this is Robbie Holmes, Robbie the Geek everywhere online. Please follow us at geekonfilm.com. Please rate and review. It really is helpful if you can rate and review us, especially in Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And thank you for sticking around. Thank you for being a part of this. And I will talk to you soon. Have a great day. This has been a Geek on Film podcast. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.